Every day and all day long, we are using objects such as airbrush, toothbrush, remote control, clothes, computer, iPhones, TV, refrigerator, vacuum cleaner, dishwasher, and cookware. But do we know what these objects are made of? The actual response to this question is no. We never, or rarely as consumers, look at what are our daily life objects made of. And this was even more true a few years ago. In fact, thanks to some scandals and a growing awareness regarding environments, people are checking more to components of the items they buy. However, as science is endlessly progressing and new technologies and components are constantly appearing, it is difficult to know all of them and to identify which one is harmful or not. We usually trust the process and let the government check after the companies that their new components are in line with the regulations and are not harmful. But should we really trust the process? The Dupont scandal is precisely showing us that we shouldn't trust the companies. In order to build awareness and make you think about what role our companies playing nowadays in our daily life, we are going to present you the Dupont scandal. The latter happened in the 20th century. Dupont is an American chemical industrial company known internationally for their scientific inventions and innovations. They really started to get known after they created Kevlar or Teflon, which are materials used in the military sector or housekeeping and even textiles. It was actually used almost everywhere and present in almost every object since the second half of the 20th century. The whole scandal is about the discovery of the toxicity of Teflon and the pollution and health issues it engendered, whereas it was a material that was accepted to be used on the market and was thus present and used all over Earth all day long. Indeed, Teflon is a polymer of PFOA, which is a long molecule assembled from small molecules of PFOA. PFOA was introduced by Dupont de Nemours itself for the first time in 1949 via the new revolutionary material Teflon. But the right term for the molecule is actually C8. As stated by the European Chemical Agency ECHA, PFOA is not degradable. It accumulates in organisms and is toxic. Due to its persistence, even if PFOA is eliminated from the human body in a few years, this molecule is found everywhere in our environment, including in very remote regions such as the Arctic. The ECHA considers that we are all exposed to PFOA through food, water, and indoor air. The scandal surfaced several years after DuPont industries were implemented in the United States and in the Netherlands. In fact, after 10 years, we were able to find a tremendous C8 concentration in Virginia rivers, but also in Dordrecht in Netherlands. The main problem is that this particle is a very toxic substance, and studies have been made regarding this subject. Thus, a lot of inhabitants in these two regions of the world started to get similar disease and symptoms, which raised interrogations and led to investigations. In the Netherlands, thousands of inhabitants had their blood tested and most of them were contaminated with PFOA. Former employees and residents accused the Dupont de Nemours company of being responsible for the cancers from which they suffer. In the United States, Dupont started using C8 in its Teflon production at the Parkersburg factory in 1951. In 1954, Dupont employees noted that this chemical was likely to be toxic. The company confirmed its toxicity in animals in 1961 and then humans in 1982. Samples from the Ohio River in 1984 showed toxicity levels of the compound 8 times higher than normal, which had made its way into the drinking water supply of residents in Ohio and West Virginia. By 1989, many DuPont employees were diagnosed with cancer and leukemia. Yet, while these events were detailed in internal corporate documents, the media only reported the toxic spills in 2000. In 2001, a class action lawsuit was filed on behalf of Parkersburg residents. On February 13, 2017, DuPont agreed to pay US $671 million to settle the case and repair the damages suffered by 3,500 victims. An environmental health expertise was needed to prove that PFOA was the cause of the illness suffered by the victims. After 7 years of investigations on the analysis of nearly 70,000 people as well as hundreds of animals exposed to PFOA, the experts appointed by the US Justice have proven that there was a really probable link between PFOA and 6 diseases, including 2 cancers, kidney cancers and testicular cancer. But was it really the fault of the company? You may say, but maybe Dupont did not know about the toxicity, they just wanted to do business. And you would have been right until the 60s, because Dupont's first studies about C8 possible toxicity were made in this period. And after having established a clear link about high toxicity in their products, they continued to put some in the cooking pans, in waterproofing products for your baby or your dog carpet, and washing C8 directly under the ground or even in the water houses. Scandalous for a company which the main values were make the life of people better with chemicals, don't you think? Naturally, they didn't prevent anyone from the discovery, but tried to hide it the longest time possible. To avoid the scandal, Dupont should have stopped their Teflon production just at the moment they discovered C8 toxicity. They should have communicated to their consumers about the danger of their products and make procedures with the ECHA in order to place the C8 on their red list. They should have cleaned the natural areas where they trashed illegally the Teflon waste, and probably pay taxes due to the global health and environmental harm they caused. But none of this happened. They continued until a very brave and determined lawyer took them to the court in the first 10 years of the 2000s and won the trial. However, even if they had to pay 71 million to settle the case, this was below Wall Street US 1 billion predictions. So DuPont's share price actually increased by 1% that day and by 4% some 2 weeks later. While the stock prices of companies do sometimes drop when some kind of wrongdoing or failure comes to light, these losses are frequently recouped within a short time frame. One reason why companies might continue to behave irresponsibly after they become aware of corporate harm is that they expect this sort of limited effect on the share price. If Dupont decided to stop and reveal the toxicity of their new invention, it would have had a very bad consequence on their reputation and thus about their economic sustainability. They would have had to instantly stop all the Teflon chain, which would have led to a scandal about massive and sudden unemployment, and it would have engendered terrible losses for them. Thus, they decided not to say anything to make a lot of money and continue to sell all over the world without taking into account the detrimental health and environmental issues it will lead to. We have found response to the latter. In the case of Dupont and Nemours, the corporate reputation of the company didn't suffer a lot. However, in recent studies, it was shown that companies often don't suffer from wrongdoings. It was shown that depending on where the wrongdoing takes place, the public consequences were not the same. In fact, company stakeholders such as consumers, suppliers, and investors care more strongly about what takes place in their own backyard. They tend to respond with more emotion and empathy towards individuals in their home country. Thus, as the Teflon scandal was directly related to American people in a developed country, it had huge consequences. But people often have a distance bias and don't care about what happened far away from them, in poor countries, for example, such as India or China, and inhabitants over there don't have a voice. Thus, scandals continue to happen every day in these countries. The harmful consequences of the Teflon scandal are numerous and really important. In fact, according to studies, 99% of inhabitants of the planet now have traces of C8 molecule in their blood. And even if new regulations have been popping up since 2016, Dupont literally poisoned the world with Teflon, and it's now too late to go back. However, the good thing is that from July 4, 2020, PFOA cannot be manufactured or placed on the market as it was before.